Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is LawHasLogic, and today I'll be reacting to a video by HorrorShortsParty. And of course, let's get on to this video.
I'm a professional photographer by trade, but I've had a few side hustles in the past. I'm also sort of a fanatic for the paranormal, which has led me down a number of photographic rabbit holes, but strictly as a hobby.
Are those paintings?
I never get paid for attempting to actually
photographs?
photograph real ghosts. However, some years ago, I did combine those interests into an obscure side hustle that ended up getting me into trouble.
Wait, what happened?
Basically,
Why did you get
I'd
in
take
trouble?
pictures of grieving family members, then Photoshop images of their deceased loved
It's
ones
actually
into
pretty
the
creepy.
photographs. It was never my favorite gig, not only because it involved the fabrication of the ghost that I was trying to find proof of, but mainly because I always had the nagging thought in the back of my mind that said it was taking advantage of people
You're
who were
not taking
struggling with the
advantage
loss
of
of their
them,
loved
you're actually
ones.
kind of
But
helping
all
them.
those people
That's
willingly
really
responded to my
sad.
ad. I never charged them much, just enough to make ends meet, so I continued to do it. Unfortunately, there was one client who forced me to stop.
What did you
From
do?
the very beginning, I was getting strange feelings about their request. But at that point, I was already starting to get the idea into my
Is he
head that I was
using
really
Adobe?
helping these people with their grieving process somehow. She called me around midnight with a strange excitement in her voice. You've reached
Why
Sunday
would she
morning
be
photography.
excited? That's
How
really
may I
weird.
produce your memorable photos?
Hi, I saw your ad on Facebook. How much do you charge for a funeral photography session?
Well, the usual rate is $100 for an hour-long shoot. About 2 weeks until
$100
you
is a
receive
pretty
your
good
5
deal
finished
for 1
photographs.
hour.
Can you get them to me by Monday if I give you $500?
Wait,
Sure.
$500
Great,
for a
I'll
1
text you the
hour
details.
photo shoot?
I
That's
was a little
actually a
flabbergasted.
great deal.
$500 for an hour on camera
Yeah,
and
I'd be
4 hours in the
flabbergasted
Photoshop
too.
was better than my professional rate at the time. I didn't really question why she needed them so fast.
Yeah,
but
I think
thought it was
I'd be
weird
very
that she didn't even
suspicious
tell me
of
who had
that.
died. Though, within minutes, she'd send over a dozen text messages, really long and drawn-out blocks of text,
Yep,
detailing how
definitely
distraught
not
and depressed she was due to the
suspicious.
sudden death of her 2-year-old daughter, and how she didn't want to talk about it over the phone. Before I even had time to type the words, "my condolences," she completely switched into business mode. She gave me a detailed list of the kinds of photos she wanted, how she wanted them composed, which pictures of her daughter she wanted to use, and how. Just a lot of very specific requirements that grieving people wouldn't usually care about. Most of the time, they're too preoccupied with grief itself to deal with the details. After all,
Yeah, that's really
a
weird.
professional gets paid for the details. But this woman was something else. She had what she wanted in mind, and she wouldn't accept anything different in the slightest. All that said, because she was
people
paying me
grieve
so
differently.
much, I
I
ignored the feeling of
respect it.
suspicion in my gut and met her the very next morning. She told me to meet her at a certain cemetery, which led me to believe that we'd be taking photos at her
So
daughter's
you
grave.
came with
Then
her
she asked
alone in
Which
a
one of these gravestones
cemetery.
would look best for the photo
Okay, this
shoot?
guy's a genius.
You mean your daughter hasn't been buried yet?
No. I told you, I'm getting these photos for her service. Now, answer the question.
From that point on, I didn't ask any questions. We walked together
That's
through the cemetery
weird.
until she found a random gravestone that she liked.
That's really weird.
That's when I began the photo shoot. She was the most nitpicky, particular customer I've ever had.
That
She
must
nearly
have been
filled up an
really annoying. I
entire
don't care
SD
if she
card
paid
with
$100
duplicate
or
pictures because the tiniest
$500.
thing was out of place.
Oh
Or
my
she didn't have the
balls.
right facial expression. The whole time I was just hoping that the family of whoever this gravestone belonged to didn't show up and start screaming at us.
I mean, I would understand. Like,
This woman even had a book as a prop. I
that's
think it was
weird though.
titled The Giving Tree. She made me take a photo every second as she read the entire
Are
thing
we
to her
sure
dead
this
daughter,
is for?
who wasn't
my
even
voice cracked
there.
a little bit. Are we
Then,
sure this is for
After
her
the
daughter?
hour of the
It's
photo
kinda
shoot was
weird.
over, she held me up for
I'm
another
sorry,
hour
guys.
as she scrolled
It's
through
really
all
weird
of the
for me.
hundreds of photos and picked out the 5 that she wanted produced. After she was finally gone, I purchased a few energy drinks and went home to pull an all-nighter to get all of her pictures done before the next morning. Honestly, I just wanted to be done
I would
with
be
this client
creeped
and
out
claim
too
my
and just
money.
try to finish as
Thankfully,
fast
she
as
didn't
I
ask me
can
about the
because she's
quality of the
acting
Photoshop
really
upon
weird.
delivery. That's what most people had issues with, but she didn't care. I saw the money hit my bank account and I thought I was
That's really
finally done
weird.
with
At
that
least he
horrible
got his
woman.
money though.
But I sure wasn't. A few days later, I got a knock on my door. The kind of banging that sounds like someone's trying to beat down your door, that makes you shoot out of bed in your underwear.
Shoot out in your
I
underwear.
answered the door to 2 men in suits who held up their badges as
They're
they introduced
detectives?
themselves. Good morning, sir. We are homicide investigators from the state.
Oh,
We have
what
a few
happened?
questions we'd like to ask you. You're not under arrest, but we'd like you to come into
Oh
the local
no.
station. Sure. I haven't done anything wrong, so it shouldn't take long. But of course, I was there all day. My
All
side
day.
gig had gotten me wrapped up in a murder case. That awful witch had taken advantage of me. She was under suspicion of murdering her own daughter, and she had me take those photos to make
Oh,
her look innocent, like she was grieving and yearning for her
that's
lost
that's
daughter,
actually
when she was the
weird.
one that killed
Is he a
her. That
psychopath?
incident ruined my
That's creepy.
reputation. From that moment on, I never did another one of those gigs. I never should have done them to
Oh
begin
no,
with.
She used my work
that's
to
her
make
in real
people think that
life.
she's innocent.
What did she want in the photos?
She told me that her daughter's favorite book was The Giving Tree. And she said, I want me holding the book, reading it to my daughter Macy, who passed away. And I want to be looking down at her while she's reading the book. She wanted this more than any other photo. When I look at that photo now, I see, Mommy, why'd you do this?
No, that's very gruesome. Very gruesome. I blanked it out because that was an ad. Sorry, I can't do ads. True Walmart story 2.
When I
Yeah, I
was still
think
in
I did one
college, I
before.
worked part-time at the local Walmart to make ends meet. Nowadays, I'm extremely grateful that my degree has kept me employed in a more
What's your degree?
respectable career, because I almost didn't make it out of my time at Walmart alive. I
Oh,
remember
it's
one
9.
night in
Oh, that's
particular
cool.
when the danger came to
Ooh,
a
so just
head.
reading a
It was
book,
a
sipping
Friday.
some
I was
coffee
taking
or
a few
hot
hours to catch up
chocolate.
on my studies
That sounds
before
great.
going out for the night, but I got a call from my manager. Hey, Sally. We need you to come into work tonight. Miriam
That's
didn't
not
show
cool.
up
She was
again.
relaxing.
All right. I'll be there in an
Oh,
hour.
It seemed like that there had been a lot of no-call, no-shows
why?
recently. I certainly didn't
Where's the
appreciate
other
losing my
employee? It's
night
not
out
like
to
she's
a
the
late
only
shift
one
at
working
work,
there.
but more than that, I didn't want to be the type of
Miriam,
person that
where
left
are
their
you?
workplace short-staffed. That being said, I could already feel myself getting closer and closer to that point. The turnover was high, for a good reason. The pay was minimum wage, and management was always taking
Minimum
advantage of the
wage?
people who didn't walk out the door. People like me.
That's not
When I
cool.
showed up at around 9, I
Yeah.
was glad to see that it was a
Save
slow
money,
night for a
live better.
Friday. Back when I was working there, Walmart used to stay open far later than it does today. I could see why they made the decision to
Actually,
change
I've
their
never been
hours.
into a
I
Walmart,
only
not
saw
gonna
about a
lie.
dozen cars in the entire
I've been
parking
to a
lot, and
IKEA
most
or
of
a
the customers
Costco,
were already checking
not a
out.
Walmart though.
Still, I was pretty sour about the whole thing. It wasn't like I was getting paid overtime for this.
Do you guys
The next
recommend going
several
to
hours
Walmart?
dragged
Like,
on uneventfully, until finally my
is it
manager
is it
made
a
the
good
closing
store?
announcement. Attention valued Walmart customers. The store is now closing. Please finish shopping and make your way to the checkout lanes. Thank you, and have a safe night. The way he delivered that announcement, you'd think he was a nice guy, but he was only that way to the customers, not with the employees.
Why does
I
his
checked
face
out my
look like
last
that?
customer and was about to walk out the door
Don't
for the
tell me he's
night
gonna be a
when he yelled
douche.
at me. Hey, Sally, where
Yep.
do you think you're going?
I'm going home? I just clocked out.
No, you're not.
Bro, let her
Miriam's
go. She
shift was
just
8 to
clocked out.
close, so that means you're gonna help
It was
close the
Miriam's
store.
job. Why are you giving the responsibility to her?
Alright. What do you need me to do?
Well, for starters, walk around all the aisles and make sure all the
Yeah,
customers are on
there
their
could
way
be like
out.
people
You got it,
in
boss.
the aisles.
The store was probably all but empty by the time he made his announcement.
Bro, her boss is so rude. This isn't cool. It's not her fault that none of your workers are coming into work. I don't know, maybe they're busy with other stuff.
Didn't see anybody until I got to the electronics section. But of course, when it's the dead hours of the morning and you're trying to close so you can go home and get some sleep,
Yeah,
the
I'm not
one
touching
person
that
who
guy
works in the
even with an
store is
11-foot
always
stick.
the one person who gives the most trouble. He was just some old fat guy staring at the wall of TVs. At first, I thought it was strange that he could be fixated on the same minute-long action movie preview that constantly plays on the TVs, but I quickly realized that somehow there was something else playing on the one he was staring into. I approached him slowly.
Excuse me, sir.
That's really
The store is
creepy.
closed. You'll have to leave and come back to buy that tomorrow.
He didn't answer to me.
Hey,
He didn't
bro,
even
answer.
move or blink or give any
Not
indication
cool.
that he was aware of my presence.
Sir? Would you mind coming back tomorrow?
Not a single muscle twitched. He was
Amaro.
engrossed into whatever he was watching. But I was ready to go home.
That would
Sir,
probably
the
be
store
very
is
annoying.
closed. If you stay any longer, you will be trespassing.
Just a moment, Sally. I'm watching my favorite horror
Oh
film.
no.
I gasped.
No, I'm
I had
gonna
no
run.
idea he knew my
I'm gonna
name.
run.
I had already clipped off my name tag when I'd clocked out a few minutes before then. Maybe he'd heard my manager yelling at me.
Get out or I'm calling the cops!
He stared me down with the smuggest of looks, then finally turned and walked away. I let out a sigh of relief. With him gone, there was nobody left in the store, so I went ahead and started shutting down the television displays. I began with the TV that the creepy old fat guy was enthralled with. I only glanced at the screen enough to realize that there was some sadistic gore movie playing on it, not something management would be okay with. I quickly reached behind the TV and ejected the disc he'd left. It was a blank disc, home burnt, with the date written on it with a Sharpie. It was dated 2 days before that night. I pocketed the disc and went back to work until I was finally allowed to go home. But when I plopped down on my couch, I couldn't relax. Something was lingering in the back of my mind. So I fished the disc out of my work pants and fed it into my DVD player. Immediately, my heart sank. There was no Hollywood reject. It was a homemade recording. And there were no actors. Only real people in mortal peril. A real-life snuff film. And the unwilling stars were my coworkers. I watched in petrified horror as the girls I thought had skipped out on work were tied up, tortured, brutalized, and eventually executed on camera. And at the end, the eyes of Miriam pleaded
Oh,
through
so
the
that's
screen
why
for
Miriam
help,
didn't go to
but her
work.
mouth was
Ah, I
taped
get it
shut.
now.
The things that man did to those girls, I just can't even talk about it anymore. I'm sorry. It makes me sick to my stomach. And even after all these years, I'm still so paranoid that I'd run into trouble on my way home from work one night and never show up again. Who was that man? And why did he even have the nerve to play this disc at the Walmart that was supplying his victims? I panicked. I quit the next day and never looked back. I also reported the disc to the police, but nothing ever came out of it. Every night
I swear if that's the
contemplate whether
guy.
I was next. After all,
I
he knew
knew
my
it.
name.
I knew it. So, yeah, that was really creepy. Not gonna lie, that was ultra creepy.
I don't know if anyone who needs
So,
this advice will be
I
able
think
to
we're gonna
find
have
this.
2 more.
But I'm
Oh,
going through the
Terrence.
trouble of telling
I know
the
this guy.
story on the
He's
off
actually a
chance that
really
we'll
good
reach the
voice
right
actor.
person.
I
I'm
love
not
his voice
ashamed to
acting.
admit that I'm homeless. I'm posting this on a library computer to
What
a
is he
website
looking
some
up?
kid
He
on the
looks
street
like he's
told me
pressing
about.
random
Anyone
keys.
out there who's in danger of
I
becoming
think he was trying to
homeless needs
subscribe to
remember what I'm
LawHasLogic.
about
So
to
if
tell
you guys
them.
didn't yet,
If you
subscribe to
have people you can
LawHasLogic.
trust, never leave their side. For their protection and yours. I'm usually the first guy to follow this rule. But a few weeks ago, I forgot it for just one night. I was walking down the streets of northern Las Vegas around evening time. Probably a sketchy situation for most, but I felt pretty comfortable.
Meanwhile, Goldfish. Oh.
The bothersome police mostly left this neighborhood to its own devices, and I had quite a few friends in the area. That's just the kind of guy I am. I can make friends with almost anybody, no matter how down and out any of us get. I just found a bag of half-eaten McDonald's in a trash can, so I was ready to find a place to sit
Oh, he
and
found
turn in for the night.
McDonald's in the
I
trash.
dragged my mat of cardboard into an alleyway where I knew a guy named Skeg would be living.
Ooh, that's nice. You have a friend. Comment down below your favorite restaurant and I'll rate it from 1 to 10. It could be any restaurant of your choice.
I'm sure Skeg wasn't his real name, but most homeless people in Vegas are hiding and in debt to somebody, so we almost never tell our real names. Hey Bert, want some dumpster pizza? It's pretty fresh. Only if I can trade you some less than fresh hamburgers.
Ah, that's wholesome. They're sharing food.
You drive a hard
It's
bargain,
actually pretty
Bert,
nice.
but I'll have to accept. Sit down, let's divvy. Sure is a nice night. That's just how we were, Skeg and I. It certainly wasn't a nice
What are you
night.
talking
I
about?
was
The
just
moon
saying
looks
that.
beautiful
The
tonight.
sun was setting fast, and the bone-chilling nighttime air was blowing in even quicker. But we were in good spirits despite all that. We had food and company, and that was all we needed. Though I think Skeg had found himself a little booze with that pizza, because he was acting a little more freely than usual. I almost hit the jackpot in the casino today, Bert. One little inch away, and that $5 would have been 5,000. One of these days, I tell ya, Skeg's gonna win it big. Oh yeah? What would you do with $5,000? You gonna invest it? Bah! All that investment crap is slow money. I'd get one of them blackjack tables and I'd clear it out. Double my money, then double it again. You know, Skeg, if somebody gave me $5, I'd spend it on food. I wouldn't gamble it away. That's how I got in the mess that I'm in. And that, Bird, is why you'll stay in the mess you're in, rotting in poverty, while Skeg is out shooting for the stars. Don't you know the sky's the limit? You can't stay stagnant.
Yep, that's
I
true.
don't need to hear
Sky's
this.
the limit.
Have a good night shooting for the stars, Skeg. I wish I could have just swallowed my
Now it
pride
sounds
and
like a
stayed
trope.
there for the night. But in my grandstanding attitude, I made myself walk out into the cold to find a different place to sleep. I didn't feel like walking up on someone in the dark and giving them a fright, so I thought I'd just spend the night alone. I laid down my cardboard mat behind a gas station, pulled on my raggedy old blanket, and started to drift off. That's when I heard something sniffing right in my ear. Half asleep, I
Ew,
brushed
why
it
is he
off and rolled
sniffing
over,
his ear?
thinking it was just a stray dog smelling
Bro,
my
someone
breath.
is sniffing you.
Then,
How could you not wake
I
up?
don't know what, but something made me throw off my blanket. The cold air woke me up right then, and before I
Oh,
could pry
thank
my
God
eyes
you
open,
woke up, but
I
at
could
least
tell
that
just
guy
from the
is
dead
gone.
quiet that I'd slept for some time. It must have been 4 a.m., but soon enough my eyes opened and focused in. And there
Oh,
was a hooded
ships
man
in a
standing
port.
right over me. He
That
wasn't
scared
moving,
me.
just looking down at me with shrouded eyes. He was holding a plastic bag for some reason. I could hear it crinkling in the wind, and it looked like he was hiding something in his sleeve.
Oh no.
What the hell, man? What do you want? Ew. What do you want me for? I'm just a bum. That wacko didn't respond. He just started to lift up his arm, letting his sleeve fall back.
Is that a gun?
Then, sirens started to echo from around the corner. The creep froze, glanced around in every direction, then bolted out of nowhere. I got out of there too, before the cops
This
showed
is a
up and
gun.
came back. I decided being alone wasn't worth the hassle. So
Well,
I
you
hustled
should have
back
thought
to
of that
Skeg's alley.
earlier.
When I got there, he was slumped over on his side, facing the wall. By then, I was freezing cold, so I did something I don't normally do. I laid down right next to Skeg and threw my blanket over the both of us so I could capture some of his body heat. Pretty quickly though, I could tell it wasn't working. It was like he was barely giving off any warmth at all. And what was worse, his cardboard mat was wet. At first I thought it might have rained, but then I remembered I lived in Nevada.
What does Nevada have to
Skeg?
do about
I threw
raiding?
off the
Doesn't
blanket
it
again
rain
and
in
tried to
Nevada?
shake him awake, but he didn't stir. I stood up and rolled him onto his back, revealing the worst. Skeg! 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 Skeg, man, come on, wake up! He'd been
Oh,
attacked.
no.
His face was caved in by several strikes
This
from
is
a blunt
disgusting.
object, and all of the blood he lost
I
onto the
think
mat
he had
meant
a
he was
hammer
surely
on
dead.
him.
I stood in horror. A chill ran down my
Wait, is
spine
that a
as I made
Family
the
Guy,
connection between
Peter
this and
Griffin,
the guy that had
Dead
woken
Pose or
me up.
something?
I ran straight to the only place
Yep,
I knew could
it
help.
is. I am
The
right.
24-hour diner 4 blocks away. I told them everything and they called the police. If I'd only stayed with
Poor
Skeg
Skeg
that
though,
night,
he really had a
he'd be
lot of
alive.
dreams.
And I wouldn't
This
have
is why
gotten
you
so
don't
close to
gamble,
death
guys.
myself.
Not the dying
Oh, well.
part, but the
I guess
part
he
where
got his
you
chance
lose
to
your
shoot for
money.
the stars and he took it. Just goes to show how important what I said was. Don't ever get caught out alone, because you never know when or where wackos like that creep are lurking. I heard he killed more than one homeless person.
Oh,
Just
that
stalking
is
the streets with a
gruesome.
hammer
He
and a
killed
hood.
more than
Bludgeoning
one
people to
person.
death in their sleep.
Oh,
What's gotten
very
me these
disgusting.
days?
Oh, so they baited the killer. Oh, that's actually a pretty smart idea. Good job,
When you
policeman.
first hit it, were you sure it was a dummy? Yes. The problem being is we've had some other
Sure,
people
you knew it was
struck
a
in the head
dummy.
in the
Yeah,
exact same
definitely.
fashion
Very
that you shot
normal.
this dummy in the head. You're gonna go to Clark.
Look at his face. He
I
kind of
am.
looks like a psychopath.
Why?
It kind of looks like he
Because you
didn't
make
have
us
any
nervous.
remorse for that.
You do?
This guy's weird. True dark internet horror story. Okay, this is
Almost
gonna be the
everyone has
last
an
one.
ex. And when you get into a relationship with someone, everyone gives at least a moment of thought to the other people their new partner has been with. Because you know they're
Well,
thinking
not
about
all
yours.
people. Some people
My
don't want
wife
to
and
talk
I are
about
no
their
exception.
past relationships.
Well, I should say my ex-wife and I
Wait,
were no
ex-wife?
exception.
What happened?
I've recently had to divorce my partner.
Ooh,
of
this is
nearly
getting
15
juicy.
years. I definitely didn't see it coming.
It
though I
would be
guess I
really
should
funny
have.
if they got divorced because the
despite how
woman
quickly the
farted
decision
on
was
him one
made,
night.
I still feel confident in my judgment. By the time we met, we had both been in the dating game for a while. And looking back on it now, it seems obvious to me that both of us at that point were more interested
This guy
in finding
kinda looks
someone
like
good
somebody.
enough to settle down with, rather than finding the perfect someone, or whatever naive single people say. We
Naive?
both
What are you
had our
talking
runs with
about, buddy?
narcissists, clingers, nutcases, and a few other flavors of insufferable people. But we each seem refreshingly normal to the other, so none of that history made a difference. Man, I should have paid a little more attention. Before we were married, my ex-wife would talk every now and then about this guy named Jason. Out of all our
Jason?
exes,
No, not that Jason, the other one.
he was the one she'd gotten closest with. They
Oh,
were
that's no
together for a
Jason
few
Derulo and
years,
Jason
and they even
Voorhees.
lived
That's
together.
Salad Fingers. See the resemblance?
To be honest, I'm not sure I ever heard her say anything that bad about him, except that he had some strange habits and beliefs. When
Like
I
how
asked why they
strange?
broke up,
There's different
she said
types of
something that I always
strange.
thought was weird.
He moved to Tibet and became a monk. He said that money was the root of evil or something like that.
Okay, she
When
either
she
was
said
lying or that guy
the
was just
identity of this
delusional.
Jason guy
How
clicked
could
in my
money be the
mind.
root of all evil
I
when I
used to
could
hear
buy
about him in
Funko Pops and
secondary
dino
school,
nuggets with them?
how he
Think
was
about
always
that.
blurting out strange things in class, or sitting by himself every day at lunch, and generally just flying a lot of red flags, like bringing razors to school to shave his head in the washroom. Wait, you mean Buzzcut Jason?
Did he
You
just
dated
call
him?
him Buzzcut Jason?
Yeah?
Bruh.
So?
I mean,
What's wrong with
Salad
dating the
Fingers
weird
would have
kid?
been better.
Because if you date the weird kid, that means you're also weird.
She probably is
Grow
weird.
up. It's not like he was violent or anything. I felt bad for him,
Sure,
so I gave him a
he's not
chance.
violent.
He actually turned out to be really nice. Until he dumped me to go meditate himself into the grave.
That should have been my first red flag.
If your gut tells
But she
you
managed
it's
to
a
talk
red
me out of
flag, it's a
suspicion.
red flag.
By all my means of
Except if you're
judgment,
Delulu.
Jason had really fallen off the face of the earth. Nobody I knew from secondary school had heard from him in years, and my ex-wife was the only one who claimed to know where he'd gone. For all I knew, she was right. Jason had relocated his life to Central Asia to practice Tibetan Buddhism, giving up everything he'd ever had in the process. Certainly that's not something you hear every day, but it's not something you never hear. And after my ex and I got engaged, Jason was never mentioned again.
That's great.
I
You
didn't
guys
care
can move on. That's good.
What's one piece of baggage on an otherwise normal person? Unfortunately, that wasn't quite the end of it. I think that most people tend to get suspicious of their partner's loyalty at times. But I never thought I'd be one to have so many reasons to doubt it. I almost went crazy, thinking I was being overly paranoid about all the weird stuff going on. Coming home a
Yeah,
few
I think
minutes
you're not
early and seeing my
paranoid.
wife out
She's
of breath
very
for no reason.
suspicious.
Hearing doors slam just before I got inside the house. Her rarely ever letting me go inside her car, and staying out super late on weekdays. I told myself those paranoid sensations were just the scars of being cheated on in university by other women. I thought once we started raising our family that it would all be put to rest. But then,
It's a baby.
our first
Wait,
child came
it's
out
Ginger.
with bright ginger
You're
hair.
brown there. It's
My
Ginger.
ex-wife is a natural blonde,
She's
and I got
definitely
regular
cheating on
old
you.
brown hair.
That kid
I
is
can still
ginger.
remember how it felt when that pit formed in my
Poor
stomach.
kid,
There
not
was an
being
intense
accepted
discussion
because
right
he's
then.
ginger.
Neither of us are redheaded, Jane. That's a recessive gene that nobody in my family shows, and you can't carry it because you're blonde. Explain to me how that happened.
Oh my god, I can't believe you. You didn't even know my natural hair color is auburn? It's like you don't
Here
even
come
know
the
me.
gaslighting.
Maybe you cheated and you just want to shift the blame on me.
Oh, come on. How'd you come to that conclusion?
Ugh, enough of this! If you keep questioning me, I'm divorcing you and taking
Whoa,
everything you
chill.
have.
That was how she got me. Holding the
Yeah,
word
she definitely
divorce over my
cheated. She's
head like a
getting too
guillotine.
defensive.
I always feared becoming one of those old lonely divorcees who spend every night at the pub. More than anything, I didn't want that to become me. So begrudgingly I dropped the issue and made extra sure that the next kid was mine. But
That
things
next
never
kid
got
definitely
easier.
isn't gonna be
Those
yours, bro.
suspicions of mine never stopped getting stirred up by one
You're
thing or
smoking
another.
too much, though.
It started to get to me. Over time, I think I degraded mentally, just from the stress and distrust that I was forced to live with for so many years. When we had our fourth, kid, she
you
told
didn't
me
even
that she
have
was
your
going to quit her
second. Now you
job
have
and
your
become a
fourth.
housewife.
Well, one of us
damn.
has to stay home to take care of all
You know
four
she
of them,
just
and you
became a
make more
housewife
money,
to cheat
so it should
on
be
you
me.
more, right?
You don't really have paternal instincts anyway.
And to commemorate the moment, she wanted a photo taken of the six of us. We all crammed
Bro,
together on the
they're
couch,
all
and I tried my best
ginger.
to put on my happiest smile.
Didn't
for
you
the
notice
camera.
any of
She
them
posted it
aren't
to her
brown
Facebook
hair?
page
They're
as she
all
updated
ginger.
her employment status. I didn't think much of it as I was exhausted from work. I was ready to go to sleep, especially since I had to get up early the following morning. When I woke up, my phone was blowing up with messages on Facebook, and they all said the same thing. Who's that guy on the couch that you guys
there
are
he is.
sitting
I
on?
see him. I see
the
him.
one right under your wife. I had no idea what they were talking about, but I had to take a closer look at the picture. And that's when I saw a face I hadn't seen in over 10 years. Jason, buzzcut Jason, lying under some kind of blanket, acting as a cushion for my whole family to sit on. And just from the way my ex was sitting on his face, I knew that he'd been the one she was cheating with all those years. I couldn't handle all the lies.
I told you your wife
He
was
never went to
cheating.
Tibet to become a monk.
I kinda
He moved
saw
into
that
a basement
coming.
and became a bum. I never knew he was ginger because he always kept his head shaved. All the times I was suspicious and she tried to gaslight me. I'm not even sure a single one of those kids are mine. How many times did I narrowly
really?
miss an
Those
encounter
kids
with
aren't
him?
yours.
Was I ever
I
safe?
should have known.
didn't
Yeah, I
even
did know, bro.
I
They
divorced
were
that
ginger.
wench
You
with
were
the first
brown
chance
hair.
I got.
Who are you,
And I may
Sherlock
have become
Holmes?
one of those lonely old
Bro.
pub regulars. But I'll tell you one thing. I still feel
Get your
sound in my
creepy face
judgment.
out of my screen, bro. I've seen this before. Wait, isn't this like a meme, this picture? Hey guys, that's gonna be all for this video. Subscribe to my channel and also subscribe to Horror Shorts Party, and also follow our Twitter. Here's my Twitter and also Horror Shorts Party's Twitter. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay rusty. Bye bye.